Next, I'd like to introduce T.J. McGarvey, a Vietnam veteran.
I think Mark Twain said the worst death is to be talked to death. Not a whole lot I can say that hasn't been said, but I just want to share some thoughts from a veteran's perspective. I believe it was President Harry Truman who said the problem with getting advice from economists, they will tell you, on one hand you could do this, but on the other hand you could do that. He said, what this country needs is more one-armed economists. And I think that applies to our goal here today. I'm privileged to be here. I want to thank those who put the program together. And while I'm active, as the bio indicates, I'm speaking not on behalf of the VFW, American Legion, VFW, any Vietnam veterans organizations. I'm here to speak as a veteran and talk about our veterans and talk about the mutual goal that's being put forth here today. The great legacy of the Vietnam War is never again will we allow our veterans to be ignored and dishonored. And we can see that now. So as I talk briefly about the Middle East crisis, of sending our men and women into Kuwait to save the oil and so on. One thing we learned is that you can honor the warrior without necessarily honoring the war. So the issue I'm here to speak about is simply our men and women don't need to go in harm's way to protect oil rights and people in the Mideast. I was privileged to serve with the 9th Marines in Vietnam. I returned home in 1968. In 1998, I went back, 1999, excuse me, I went back to build some schoolhouses and help the children there. And about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I stood outside a French hotel and I watched these people going to work with their bicycles, with loads and motor scooters that you couldn't imagine what they could do. And I thought, over 58,000 Americans died to protect them from this. From what? There's more capitalism in Saigon than there is in Pittsburgh. And I don't want anybody to come here or anywhere else 21 years from now and people will ask the same question. Again, our men and women go in harm's way to protect Mid-Eastern oil. I don't see it. We gather here today to support an effort to offer gainful employment to our skilled trades, men and women. A good and noble purpose, and this was said here, I believe, by Abe. It helps the middle class, it helps production and consumption. And there has to be a balance between production and consumption. I trust that the Keystone XL pipeline is not offered to simply export oil, but as was said here today, to create refineries and jobs and security. October 11th, I will again go up to the mountains of Boswell, PA, and we bring in 50 wounded warriors from around the country, men and women. These kids are incredible. They're missing arms and legs, and we're trying to teach them how to get along with their lives. Employment, skills, education, all those things that are needed. Simply, I want to close with a quote, and I believe again it was from Avi Eben, former Israeli Secretary of Defense, who said, "Most men and nations will behave rationally once all their alternatives have been exhausted." And that's not a 5-year wait program.